and it's TikTok for those who don't know. So let me just also make sure that sound-wise, I'm not losing anyone here and that you can hear me. So those who are jumping in, please just let me know whether you can hear me or not. Let me know whether you can hear me or not. I'm also just going to check on my side. Okay, I think we're good. Let's see what's happening on Facebook. Okay, that's fine. And lastly, YouTube. Sorry guys, I do this just for sound's sake, because sometimes, hey, you will start talking and talk and talk and talk, and then you'll find out that your sound wasn't working the whole time. So apologies if I'm just taking a little bit of the time, but I'll be starting the show just now because it seems like all of the other platforms are correct. Okay, so welcome everybody to the Overthinking Football Show. My name is George Mokoena. I am your host. The show is on every Monday to Friday. This week is going to be 8 p.m. So every Monday to Thursday, 8 p.m. And then at 12:30 on Friday, we're going to have our members show where the contributing members of the Overthinking Football family get to come in and direct the show a little bit. If you have watched this show before and you're wondering how do you add your voice to the show and join one of the panels, you have to be following me on TikTok and join me while I'm live on TikTok. Then I'll be able to let you in and you can add your voice to the show live. If you want to watch any of the previous shows that we've had incredible conversations on this platform. They are available on Facebook and on YouTube in full. That's where you can watch them and catch up on some of the conversations we've had on this show. So today I'm going to do something that I know I don't normally do. Today I'm gonna play devil's advocate for our PSL. For anybody who's watched the show before, you know that I have a hard stance on the quality level of the PSL. I do believe that the quality is very low. I do believe that the ambitions are very low. And I do believe that when you look at the general standard of the PSL, it's not very high, right? It's not very high. Mabukeli PSL, sometimes it feels as though Bukela Manda 13 or Ngayekasi, Uzbukeli Pola Lapa, Ekasi, and be fine, right? And be happy and be entertained. But a conversation we had in our WhatsApp group kind of changed a little bit of my mind. Because we were speaking about how do you rank the leagues in Africa and where does the PSL rank in Africa and how that impacts players. And one of the things that I realized was that my ranking of where South Africa is, or Mzansi is not based on what the other leagues are doing. It's based on how we view the leagues and how we view what those guys are telling us. Like a lot of us here will automatically say that the Egyptian league is a better league, right? And we'll wax on about Al Ali and all those guys, which is great at a Champions League level, right? But at an everyday level, when you say pound for pound, is the PSL really that bad? But also, maybe the standard of Africa is a bit low. And what I'm basing this on is I went through a couple of countries. Now, obviously, we all say that EPSL is a farmers league. We all say that EPSL, Sundowns is at the top and Sundowns is taking everything. They're winning the league every year, 6 years in a row. They're unbeaten 10 games. Therefore, the PSL is a bad league, right? But then I thought to myself, Manchester City, last season, I can pull up the stats. Manchester City, last season, won the league 5 points ahead of Arsenal, 14 points ahead of Man United, who was third, 18 points ahead of Newcastle, right? When you go to League One last season, Ligue 1, the French league, PSG won the league by 1 point. Lens was 1 point behind them. But Marseille was 12 points behind PSG. And then Rennes was 17 points behind PSG. Then I looked at La Liga. Barcelona won by 10 points over Real Madrid. 11 points over Atletico Madrid, and then 17 points ahead of Real Sociedad. That's the top four. Then you look at Bundesliga. That was actually the closest one. Dortmund and Bayern were level on points, 5 points ahead of Leipzig, and then 9 points ahead of Union Berlin in fourth place. Then you go to Serie A, where Napoli won the league last season by 16 points, 18 points ahead of 16 points ahead of Lazio, 18 points ahead of Inter, and then 20 points ahead of Milan, right? Then I was like, okay, this proves that maybe there's a trend in the world. There's a trend in the world where the best teams, the best resource teams, it's usually one or two of them, and then everybody else. So then I was like, you know what, let me look into the African context, because this is what we were speaking about, what it looks like in Africa. I couldn't find the 2022 stats for in Nigeria, but in 2021, Rivers United won by 8 points over Plateau United, and then Remo Stars was third, 15 points away from Rivers United. You know, we go to Tanzania. Young Africans, 78 points, Simba 5 points behind them. Azam, the next best, right, was 19 points behind Young Africans. We go to Egypt. Al Ahly won their league by 10 points. Pyramids followed with 73 points. Al Ahly at 83 points. Then Zamalek, the Zamalek that we all know, that everybody, you know, is one of the more bigger teams in Africa. They are literally 23 points behind Al Ahly when you look at their standings. So the question that I have is, when we look at the relative strength of these other leagues, is the PSL that far behind? And what is the African standard? Because clearly, you know, you go to Morocco, 2023 season, AS FAR and Wydad finished 1 point from each other, but the third team, FUS Rabat, finished 12 points behind AS FAR Rabat. The fourth team finished 20 points behind the Rabat. When you look at those type of stats and you look at those things, running Galaxy was 8 points ahead of the number 2, and then 12 points ahead of number 3, and then 19 points ahead of number 4, Irolas. So when you look at that, do we really have a unique problem? Do we have a unique problem in the PSL? Or is it just how the leagues play out? Their most resourced team is going to be number 1. Your historical teams are going to follow, right? And then maybe there'll be somebody who's breaking the mold. Right now, in Egypt, you've got Pyramids FC. Pyramids FC bankrolled a lot of money. They were bought in 2018, bought a standing team 2018, put in a ton of money, similar to what Motsepe is doing. They're finishing second now. They're going into Champions Leagues, right? Meanwhile, the rest of the league is not very high. So then, is it really bad? And let's play devil's advocate for these teams. Tate Motsepe is a billionaire who spends money for fun, who the rest of the teams probably, I'd say, let's say 12, 13 of the teams can't even think of trying to compete. Can we expect them to be of a higher level, right? And can we expect them to compete like that? Or have the teams? You know, we spoke to Coach Vilagadi when he was still at Golden Arrows, and he said that they were asking, CEO, they were asking that guys, analysis, software, analysis, things like that, right? So can we expect them to compete? And also, when we look on the African continent as well, think about it. Marumo Gallants got relegated last season, and they got to the semi-finals of the Confed. Mamelodi Sundowns now routinely goes far. Kaizer Chiefs, in a transfer ban year with a new coach, managed to make it to the final of the African Champions League. So when we look at all of those things, and you look at the things that I've just said, where it seems that most of the leagues in Africa and the top 5 leagues in Europe are basically farmers' leagues, are we asking too much of these PSL teams in order to compete, you know. And just to be clear, I'm not letting them off the hook. I don't want to let them off the hook. I don't want to say that, no, because of 1, 2, and 3, they shouldn't be doing these things. I'm saying that if they had a bit of ambition, they could probably do better in Africa. But to expect them to be of a high level, maybe it's a bit too far for them. And even if you look at the awards themselves. When you look at these other countries that we hold in such high esteem, tell me, are we rating Egypt highly because of Egypt? Or are we rating it because of most of their players that play overseas play very well when they play for the country? Are we rating Senegal, who most of their team is overseas, right? Are we then saying because Sadio Mane is so good, therefore the Senegalese league must be of a better standard than the PSL? And it also comes back to something that John Obi Mikel said the one day in an interview when he was here for the launch of I think it was the Europa Trophy. He said, guys, you guys have it good in the PSL. A lot of the time, players that side have to go overseas in order for them to earn a good living, to do stuff. They cannot stay in their leagues, right? They have to go early. They have to leave. They have to be found early, or else you're going to be stuck in the league. And it's those type of things that maybe have softened my personal stance on the PSL. And that the PSL, maybe we're just being a little bit too hard on them, you know. So I think that's what I want to discuss today. And I've opened it up. I want to hear from you guys. So if you want to join the show, Overthinking Football on TikTok, follow the account. Join me now as I'm live. And then at the bottom of your screen, there's a button that says multi-guest. Click on that button, then I will allow you in. And we can have a conversation about a realistic conversation about the standard of our league and how it compares to the other leagues. Agent, how are you doing, my brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Tell me, what do you think of this conversation here?
I was listening to your show with Dr. Mutau, your reaction to that. The interview with the interviewee, I don't know the English part of it, but the guy who was doing the interview, what do you call him?
BBK.
It's like he's a friend of the show, hey? Because the issues that he raises are like exactly things that we go on daily, you know? So I think you must tell us the truth. You send those questions to him, eh? Tell us.
Yeah. No,
it is between me and you.
I was sitting at lunch with Tatem Taung and Kopi. No, I'm kidding. What do you think of this convo?
Yeah, no. Firstly, let me greet Mrs. Agent. I think he's a friend of the show today, so you guys behave. Yeah. Acknowledge.
You're not greeting, you're making sure that you don't go hard, but it's fine.
Yeah, no, I'm making sure that you guys behave today. Especially Feli. I see Feli, I'm like, hey, I must make sure you guys behave. But I think it's in your ways it's the same shanties, you know. Everything, you know. I was looking at, and I stand to be corrected. The sources, what do you call it? It's an article from Ghana, you know, by newspaper from Ghana, you know, and they were comparing different prize monies, you know. So the prize money of PSL is it 15 million, right?
Yeah, I think it's 15.
Yeah,
15 or 16.
16, yeah. I think here they said 86 million pounds. And then the next one is Egypt with 308 million pounds. So more than double, you know? And I had this thing, I think some years back, that teams like Al Ahly don't depend on the prize money to sustain themselves. They depend on CAF money. That's why they go hard on CAF. And they depend on sponsorship deals and playing in the Arab Cup. You know, so you can see even money wise, right now in Botswana, they don't have a league sponsor. You know, the teams are just playing for the fun of it. So I think we're more organized. And I was listening to an interview by JJ Okocha this other day, and he's like, the reason why he hasn't run for any office in the FA is highly politicized, and they make it difficult for ex-players to get involved, So that's the same conversation we had about Abu Lucas and Dr. Kumalos and the others, So same thing, And in terms of stadium attendance, I think you mentioned on the show that TP Mazembe, the great TP Mazembe, had to offer free tickets that we cry about here with Sundowns, just to get stadium attendance. And the Joining Galaxy game between Wydad and Joining Galaxy, the attendance wasn't great, So maybe we see the attendance of these games in CAF and big CAF games and like, oh, there's so much attendance here, While in actual fact, it's not like that, And also the visa issue of Fiston Mayele. I mean, that's administration, How long did it take for them to apply? Did they apply last minute? So I think you look at these things and you're like, actually, you're not that bad, And also in terms of organizations and the clownish behavior, I think I sent an article earlier on the group that a player was loaned to another team in Nigeria, and that team sold the player. And we're like, how did the FA allow that? So it's this kind of things are like, hey, man, maybe we are too spoiled. Maybe we're just too spoiled. So yeah.
Okay. Let me bring in Velile. Velile, welcome to the show, my brother. Agent took a warning before.
Ngiyamuzwa agent hayi. Uyithathisa kanjani le ndaba?
Velile, tell me, uthini ngale ndaba, man? Just your general thoughts about what I've put down here, PSL and the level versus other leagues.
Yeah, man, mdaba, as we know, vela ama levels angeke afane. But at the same time, regardless of the standards that is there of financial muscles, professionalism you can implement it regardless of whether you've got financial muscles or not. That professionalism must not be compromised by not saying which you don't have financial muscles to run the league like of a country. So, like for example, as I'm saying, like PSL, there's financial muscles. If you look at the DSTV, Fagimali, you look at our Carling Black Label, they've provided money, televise matches. So that money contributes to the development of football and also the running of the PSL. That's why our team, like PSL, they receive like a monthly grant. I think it was 2 million or whatever.
Yeah, 2 million. Last I checked.
2 million monthly grant. But the big advantage is the reason why we have to be so. We are hard, but at the same time, we have to understand. But at the same time, we can be hard, but expect professionalism, as I've said, because at the back of our mind, I know an average when soccer club bosses in South Africa go to what type of people are they. Some of even they are forced to do certain things that they don't work. As I've mentioned initially, I think on our previous debate whereby I've said the arrival of Mutsipe PSL. We have to be really honest in analyzing Guti. Did it create a bigger value for EPSL or it created an artificial economy, PSL? Because there are certain things and certain players, if you look at it, you start a club, they cannot afford to pay a Miami player the money that they or Chiefs are paying. Part of which we know previous being as so we need to determine what's an average salary for an average soccer player, like soccer player or Chippa United or Golden Arrows or Baroque or whatever. What do we expect those players to get a minimum, so that we cannot frustrate like the club bosses and expect them to pay those players email of which they don't have, and or some of them they ended up like taking out the email from their business. That's why I'm a team about Celtics now to supplement the running of the team if I'm not a sponsor, and also if they don't expect too much crowd the stadium to get to Tolama taking. So it's different thing, but we have to analyze it based on financial muscles of the brand, the PSL, or do you analyze it based on the type of football that the product of football that you receive on soccer matches on each and every weekend or during the week, or in general, or like attendance, or economy yayo i-football as its own like brand i-PSL, on how does it contribute i-value yayo ingakanani na. So there are certain factors that contribute to that.
Okay. I'm gonna come back because I want to expand on something you just said there. Master Icon, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you? Master Icon, are you still with me? Let me go to Stormy. Stormy, welcome to the show. How are you doing? Something happening here. Agent, can you still hear me?
And I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, so I wanna drill down into this thing. Okay, before I do that, let me just read some comments. Fandenom says, Hola Oti, PSL players no longer have motivation to be the best. It's all about money and status, but not about making a name for yourself. Agent then says 20K, 20,000 Rand is the average for pay in the PSL. Smiso says no player should be earning less than 30,000, at least Nakona. And then Master Icon, I'm going to try you again. I'm going to let Brian in and then just try request again and we can see if we can't get it in. Agent, you know, how much of our perceptions of these leagues are based on the top team? So when we look at the Egyptian league, right, for example, we think about the Al Ali, you know, we don't think about Al Gaish, number 14. When we think about the English Premiership, we don't think about the English Premiership as being a full league. We see Manchester City at the top, and then we assume that the rest of the league is that strong, you know, and it gets even worse in other leagues. We know in the French league, PSG is always on the top, but do you care about what Nantes is doing? How much of it is based on that? And are we wrong or right to look at leagues that way?
I think if you look at it from this point, that every year in CAF, you expect Wydad to be there. The top, you expect Raja Casablanca. You expect Al Ali. Of recent, there's not been the second Egyptian team making it to the big stages. This is the Zamalek, now it's Pyramids. And then we expect Al Hilal, we expect Atletico, we expect what else?
Oh, Raja, there was a time, but not now.
Yeah. You see, it's always the same faces, you know? At least with PSL, besides Chiefs, Pirates, Sundowns, SuperSport comes there, Gallants comes there, you know, Skukune comes there, you know, like
Chiefs that high, hey? But it's fine.
no, I mean in terms of doing something tangible, you know, you guys were whiskers away from getting the star through the front door, and it's not rusty at the same time. So you kind of get it, that the picture that maybe we are okay. I think the problem is Sundowns. I think maybe it goes back to not giving Sundowns enough credit. Sundowns is a well-fed team anywhere in Africa, you know? And imagine having such kind of scary team in your league, you know? So you take Sundowns out of the picture and you're like, but other teams, you know, it's a tight bunch, you know? I think some couple of weeks back, Pirates was fighting for relegation. Now I'm sure they're pushing for the top 5, you know? So I think also, I want to disagree with something that you said also on the direction that the standard of football has improved, in my opinion. You know, it's only that it's a new factor that we're having such a dominant team, which is so dominant, and others are not as dominant. Because even in the operation that Alice or whatever is called, Pirates are still doing some good business also, you know. We are used to having 2 or 3 teams competing, you know. But generally, in terms of looking at most of the teams, there's an improvement, in my opinion, you know. So I think we are being clouded by this dominant side, which I think maybe after the dominance subsides, kind of, you're gonna see how great the league is, you know. So
But
yeah,
isn't it unfair? Because, like I said now, for example, we spoke about Zamalek. Zamalek was 23 points behind Al Ali, you know?
Yeah.
And I fear that what we've done in our minds, especially South Africans, because we don't really interact with the Champions League like that. What we've done is we've said the Egyptian League is so good because Al Ali is forever winning those Champions Leagues. And then we've also said the Egyptian League is so good because Mohamed Salah is doing so well for Liverpool. But when you drill down to the actual league, it's like, "Aye, man, guys, this thing looks a lot like it looks a lot like the league back home, or even worse, actually. It looks a little bit worse, you know, and the other countries. Are we being unfair to the PSL in that regard, that we're basing our thoughts on the best? It's like other leagues looking at Sundowns and saying, yo, that league must be hot, you know, and then you look at the actual log and it's like, 16 points.
and imagine the way Al Ali fears Sundowns. Imagine if Sundowns was in that league, you know, how much it would lead, you know. And I think maybe the problem is it's a third team, it's a third wheel which has been dominant. I think if it was one of the two top teams, the noise wouldn't be as much, you know. So they say a bouncing baby boy who is this old man who's beating everyone now, you know. So I think that also plays into perception that okay, this team is not supposed to be dominating like this. We are supposed to be dominating, you know. So it's that entitlement kind of mentality that plays a role also, in my opinion.
Okay. Velile, you know, I didn't see it until I went to go look for it. And when I went to go look for it, I was like, "Ay, man, get la balika as fanela njengati." Ikhona Sundowns is 10 points, 15 points ahead of everybody. Why am I stressing EPSL so hard, man? What do you think? Is it fair on the PSL the way we look at it?
No, it's fair because we expect more from what we are currently getting, and of which it's not a problem to be too ambitious. And also, if you look at it, EPSL, when it took the decision to limit a team from 18 to 16, they sort of in terms also of getting a more numbers of quality players that are playing in the brand PSL. Do you see when you look at like the overseas, like Europe, when you've got 20, UK they've got 20, Spain they've got 20. The quality of football and the vast of which the league, you find teams playing in all corners of the country. So in that way, you get also, imagine like now if we had 20 teams, of which maybe currently now we should be exposed into more 4 owners of PSL club, of clubs, of which maybe they might also have brilliant ideas that they might contribute to EPSL now as a brand on its own. So with the number and the way it's limited and Congo 16, it doesn't give you that the whole holistic picture and holistic view as a country and as a PSL brand. But we expect it, as I've said, we expect the professionalism to be there and also to be the heartbeat of running EPSL, of which now I don't think we will say we are unfair. If I can ask you now, do you still call Umato Sisumato who is an acting PSL CEO for how long? for how long, love? And then at the same time, you also have a general manager of which of which sometimes personally I just feel somewhat conflicted with his participation on the other show, of which you're going to, as much as you might be the side of the referees, but you are still criticizing your own product food. It's a conflict there. For me, it doesn't make good sense. I don't know, other people they might see it as I know, but the product that is to represent the head. As the general manager, I don't know if general manager in, but I know he's in charge of the PSL. So it also raises question, can't we have like people, professional people who can run it? Because at the same time we are complaining about the politics that's coming through and the Gusafa. but we don't see it ngapha futhi ku-PSL. It's a professional soccer body, which is a commercial side now of football. And also, if you look at the clubs that are participating in PSL, those like are professional, they're like business, they're registered business, PTY Ltd. They're companies that expect to be professional in terms of how they conduct their business and day-to-day business in terms of PSL. Because when you start running your team professionally, also that tend to fade off also to even go PSL. You see, those contributions, they fed off into the brand, the PSL now. You increase even the value, even the playing, the Naguma field, the standard of play, it also increase because you get so many people who've got different ideas. No matter but as long as we are all like we are so many and the pool is big, then it's understandable because everyone will be contributing in that. But as compared to any other countries like your Egypt, said surely in each and every country there'll be those teams that they've always been there, like your Chiefs and Pirates, Al Ahly, Zamalek, Wydad Casablanca, whether you go to Zimbabwe, Power Dynamos, or you go to Zambia, there'll be those teams, and then there'll be new kids on the blocks. Because I remember even previously, TB Mazembe was not that big in PLC. When I was AS Vita before, who were big before TB Mazembe, and then when Umaris Khartoum be taken, got money, got different ideas of just running that team just blossomed. Like it became what it is today. Imagine if now we got another four.
Saint Oluwad Lupopo.
Yeah, Saint Oloy Lupopo. Remember in Nigeria, before we had about PCC Lions in Swaziland, we had about 11 men in flight, and here's the Ujaya. Sayikhumbula.
Unongisa hayi man. Angikhumbuli vele ngikhumbula ngifuna ukuthi ungeze ngibe ngathi I'm old angikhumbuli.
Awuyazi leyo team eshaya igama ngathi sentence.
Ngangijampiseli banawo mara unini ukutshela.
Askizi mdaba. And also nakhona futhi mina personally bengicabanga askizi mama. Hey guys, guess alibukela ibhola. And also another thing I suggest is to think and just to add, if to the qualification. So do you think our team Tina we are lucky because we also use Nedbank Cup for a team we need.
Yeah.
To also participate good care just for exposure, but at the same time it backfired badly Gumama team because I might don't have those muscles to participate there. At one time it takes Galaxy participated there but playing in the second division, of which it didn't make sense. If we can try then and put number 4 instead of winner in Nedbank or the finalists, because there
So Jabuli Cape Town City.
It's better because it will be better because they've played well on the previous season. Then they will continue building from strength to strength. Unlike those teams like I win a card, because in Nedbank Cup sometimes you find a final game. Because quite a my team as they find an adlala nakuma team wale nzatha umahwileke Rail Rovers abona nakumaholosiyane le so yayibona if we can get this number 4 play confident, I think also that we can have those teams that they'll be seen now and again, whether it's Confederation Cup or Champions League. It will also increase the value of our league now also.
Okay. Brian, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thank you. How are you?
No, I'm good. Why do you sound familiar?
Hello? Can you hear me?
How are you? Yeah, I can hear you. I thought it was someone on a burn account, but never mind. How are you doing, firstly?
I'm awesome. And yourself?
I'm good. I know the voice. I was like, no, let's see how long he's going to play this game. Are you a Sundowns fan?
No, I'm a Kaizer Chiefs fan.
Hey, Marakuba, get out of here, man. Get out of here. Tell me, what do you think of this conversation we're having? Hey, Mara. All of you guys have a pen accounts in here.
Of course. I won't tell you why, but yeah. So, okay.
Guys,
remember how Asian always accuse you of being a coconut model C?
Yeah.
What the hell did he say? Our Operation Fat Alice. What is that? Fat Alice. Did you hear that?
I'm not with it, man.
Okay, no, I'm just saying, like, no sense of error. Okay, no, it's fine. We're not there.
Different account,
Um,
same beef.
no, all I'm saying is that, South African fans, we tend to be critical and harsh when it comes to other people. Like, for instance, you know me, I'm a Sundowns fan and the biggest one. Eh? So, like, you always like to criticize Sundowns for losing a game. When we draw, you always celebrate. When we don't win CAF Awards like last night, because you don't understand how the process works. Ne? Isn't this AFL the big enough? What? The plastic cup. So, you always judge a team to be that is successful. You judge it so harshly that it shouldn't be making any mistakes. So I feel you use the same judgment when it comes to our league. And I've been telling you guys, our league is well run. Our league is special. The only thing that I can fault our league is that we don't really support our league in terms of like going to the games and filling up the stadiums. Maybe that is why people look down on our league. Ne? Yes, granted, some matches that we see, the mistakes and the the sorries we see in the field. But even having said those, we are still better than most of the other leagues, especially here in Africa. So if a team dominates by more than 10 points or 15 points, it's fine. It shows that the team is ambitious and they actually want to invest in their teams and whatnot, right? So you still have the same thing. I mean, like we the thing is like we are always compared to top 5 leagues also in global standards. Hence why they're saying Sundown is trying to get this league into a farmers league, and that name was always associated in Bundesliga and
French
PSG.
league.
So, yeah, so it means that it's not only a PSL problems, and such things shouldn't really be taboo. I understand why people might have concerns, because we know ever since the NSL or the PSL was initially started, we've always had like a close race, or when we say a team was really dominating was by less than 10 points, and that was also like on a rare occasion. So people need to accept that maybe it's how the league is ran, it's how players are and are playing. And also, am I still audible?
Yeah, no, it's still audible.
Because you never know, bruh. I bought this KC mobile SIM card from Keys.
You're giving away too much now. You're giving away. No, but cool. I think the point that I was trying to make today was that I want to give PSL the benefit of the doubt, because I myself have realized that my own knowledge of Africa, the Africa that I compare a lot to the PSL 2, is limited. And when you go and look at the other leagues, I mean, I've mentioned them here in the beginning, the other African leagues, and you're seeing, good to know, but they have Sundowns patterns. People are 10 points ahead, 12 points ahead, 15 points ahead. Am I in my head? And am I, or are we in our heads going, yeah, because Al Ali is so good, therefore the Egyptian league must be much better than the South African league? You get what I mean? Or are we saying also, Mohamed Salah is Egyptian? Yeah, the AFCON, they did 1, 2, 3, and taking that light and shining it onto the league. And maybe in real life, EPSL is much closer, because when you look at the evidence, Thieves in a transfer ban year, goes to a final. New coach, what, all of the turmoil. Pirates reaches the final of the Confed, reached the final of the Champions League. I think it was, I don't know how many years back, but they reached the final where they played Al Ali. Marumo Kalans goes to the semi-finals in a year that they get relegated. Gavin Hunt has come out and said he prefers the league, but the easier thing to play is Africa. That's what I mean by, are we just being too hard on the PSL?
And you know what? I don't blame you for being too hard on the PSL. I mean, like, when you look at the evidence, we were made to believe teams like TP Mazembe are good because they won the Champions League 5 times, right? We are made to believe that the biggest derby on the continent is in Cairo because of Zamalek and the team of the century.
Meanwhile, Zamalek is 20 points behind Al Ali.
Exactly. And you know what? Because of like for the longest of times, most of these teams, especially TB Mazembe, they were able to win the CAF things because of the backdoor dealings, because most of these games were not televised, right?
Hey, allegedly.
Yeah, and I've got good lawyers, and I get allegedly.
Now I cannot be a lawyer, so yeah. All thoughts and opinions expressed by the panel are not those of
You
overthinking
must look
football.
at your background so people might actually know. Why? What? Yeah. No, I mean, like you can see. I mean, like when, like how they play and when they lose, you can see what these people are entitled. They don't really play fair all the time. Maybe that's why. Okay, but my point is, because of fear and reputation, we will automatically fall Torre to win 5 times and to win 13 times. This league must be good, eh? This league must be good. And Rena, we've proven with this, like obviously Safa and the PSL, when it comes to marketing, we don't have a Jessica. We suck. So our league is there, guys. I think our league could be like top 10 in Europe, actually. Despite having the infrastructure. I'm talking about the competition. As much as even when Sundowns was dominating teams in terms of like blowing teams like 7-0, 6-0, ne? But there were times where they would struggle against smaller league oppositions, ne? Even though we win by higher margins. Our league is there, and it needs people to actually believe in them. Because like how we undermine our league. If you go to other African countries, they see and regard and hold our league in high regards. I think maybe it's because we don't appreciate what we have, and it can also be the same for the Egyptians people. You might find that also can be what they believe about themselves as well.
Okay. I'm gonna bring in Luisani. Luisani, how are you doing, my brother? Welcome.
Ngiyaphila mfethu njani wena?
Ngiright, man, ngiright, mfethu. Ngitshele, are we too hard kule PSL yethu when we're comparing it to other countries?
Yeah, very much so. We tend to be too hard. League yet is well run, well administrated, and iphethe abantu who've been there with football industry for the longest of time. And the Fugama CEO that have been in the PSL, all of them have brought something new and exciting every time Bebego as CEOs in PSL. So it's very, very well run. If you look at our neighbors, take Swaziland for example, siyenje la ekhaya eduze. Akuhlukile nokuthi ibhola lasemduba uma useswazini uyobuka lona.
Yeah.
I understand. It's like a regional league. But yet you're a premier league yakhona. So we tend to be too harsh because I think as South Africans we are a very emotional people. Somewhere somehow khona la singahilanga khona. Uyabo? Nakhona nje Sundowns yadominate okuyimanje asihili nje lapho. Wathi baqale nodominate. Uyabo? Now Bonagi is good because they are building their own history. They are writing their own history. Well, Sabanyama team have written their history. They've been there. They've done that. Yes, they do have the T-shirt, but access local to make the league more competitive. They must still want to rewrite more of the history that. So our league is well run. And if you look at the prize money, and you look at the insane amount of salaries that are being paid by PSL teams, you'll be shocked. I was very shocked a month back. The highest paid player in the Lesotho League, Enamama 8,000. The highest paid player. So that must tell you ukuthi kuthina akekho umdlalo ohola 8,000 kwi-PSL. Yabona usuke kudlalwa ngayo. So now look at the standards when we're comparing ourselves with Southern region. Angifuni mina mnumzane see comparison among northern countries. They were not colonized the same as us. So those northern countries, they will always think and feel that they are more superior than us in whatever they do, which is true. Tina Sugi Southern region. Let us compare Ilige to the Southern region. Yes, when we go out and play CAF, how do we then perform against Laobanya ama region? And so on. And you find out what we're performing very well. You look at the Sundowns. Sundowns, the Al Ahly, when it comes to football, ngisho ngayivusa ngo-6 ekuseni iSundowns ayidlala ne-Al Ahly izoyishaya. Ngisho ngayivusa kanini iSundowns ayidlala ne-Al Ahly uzoyishaya. Meaning ukuthi ibhola lethu la South Africa lihle bafu. And ngendlela i-league yethu eranwa ngakhona, yebo, ngeke ujabulise wonke umuntu. But it's well run. There will be complaints there and there because it's not being run by machines. Ayiki VAR, it's been run by people. Now, about the flaws, now, who thinks their ideas are much better implemented in that way. And so on. So no one is of figure at it. But it's because I can say when now I walk on a pan. Wait your turn. Masula pan will now implement our ideas. Let us congratulate them for bringing Carling Play Ball to opening it up to all 16 teams. To me, that was so exciting. And you look at the teams that are going to the finals now. When that Carling Play Ball started, no one ever spoke about Stellenbosch. No one ever spoke about Chiefs Galaxy being in the final. And no one ever spoke about Amazul knocking Kaizer Chiefs out and going into the semi-final.
And Chiefs Galaxy knocking out Sundowns.
Chiefs Galaxy knocking out Sundowns. The minnows becoming superior in those cup matches and so on. Yes. Then the more cup games these minnows play, the more our players get to have a tight schedule. Getting used to having a tight schedule because yokuthi udlala Friday, udlala Saturday, aphinde udlala ngale Saturday. Iyo le eyenza ukuthi at the end of the day sigcine sibabona emahlabhini sebeneyinkinga zokuphuza, sebeneyinkinga zani. Kanti the more i-team idlala, it forces coaches to do a rotation kuma players and give the fringe players. Like for me, it can't play Claypool. I was very happy to see Sundowns using fringe players as much as they were knocked out. And so on. Give this other to say, okay, Nina no 13 and Lali league normally, but like we can't play Claypool compete. Nina no 7 and
No, go on, finish that point.
To say this thing of trying to implement MTC, Nakona can play Claypool, Benita and the 10 all right, have a rule at now can play Claypool, regardless of team you must have 3 MTC players. You must have this. Some of these competitions, if you know so that if you squad of 34, somehow in a calendar year, because in the it's because once they to clear 6 months, 9 months, one lad, go to side nil, go to your hall. Le man to try in, and cut out fail. But
wait, before you go too far, I wanna push you on a point there. You said that we mustn't compare ourselves to the Northerns because they're superior.
They think.
Oh, they think. Okay. No. I wanted to ask you, Guti, are they superior or is Al Ali superior? And maybe
they think what they are superior. We want Algeria, the ignorance, the confidence if they're playing against southern countries. When they play against Senegal, how much respect they give Senegal, how much you understand? So when they play against us, you look at the arrogance, the way they speak to the referee, the way they look down on us. So they think they are superior. But the more we start playing our own style of football, which is southern type of football, more skillful, and we try and get behind them, it frustrates them. Look at typical example. Look at this defender, Sundowns, number 13. I forget his name. Yes, AB. As to AB, if you start taking him on once, do you see how frustrated he gets? He gets frustrated, he kicks you, he holds you, and he wants to hit you.
I'm
That's
glad
what.
people
So
see it.
that mentality of the northern countries, once these small southern players starts taking them on, they get frustrated. And I like the way Urulane always protects him. Once he starts kicking, he brings him inside. Robert.
I'm gonna just jump in because I like this. I want to. There's a place where I want to go. Let me just check these comments quickly because before they get away from me. Pega says, let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, Pirates and Chiefs used to be football teams. End of story. Hey, Marabo Pega. EPL is also the same. Hence, they have a big six, but the big six remains the same, just the position that changes depending on the standard of play. Says Master Icon. Master Icon, try jumping back on. So in South Africa, we have that. The top 8 doesn't really change. Then we look at the term Farmers League. The term arises from one team dominance. Is it true that Kaizer Chiefs is signing the Santos coach? Please no. Please no. Please no. Let's see. We miss Celtics. Austin Tabi, welcome. We do watch the games, my brother. I think the absence is created by seeing the teams. Watching Chiefs every week and they lose is surely heartbreaking. Stormy, try jump on, guys. Try come back. There is space. Smiso says, we must not forget that most of our players come from disadvantaged backgrounds. They get proper development, or they need to get proper development. Exactly my point. Money plays a big role. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Velile, elephant in the room. I want to speak about the elephant in the room. Imali. Ngoba ngobheka lama league lawa manye. Number 1 team Al Ahly inemali. Sundowns inemali. Moye to the other team, TP must banemali. These teams banemali. All of the top teams have money. Right, and even the ones that are coming up, Sundowns came up through Motsepe's money. Pyramids, the one that they played just now, Nayo, even number 2 now, they're coming up because of money.
Yeah.
Why is money such a big factor? Gulama League 1, and then number 2, why aren't teams doing more? Because there's Bakala, which we are getting 2 billion a month. 2 million is not enough. Running a team is not a money making. What you lose money. Why the money that they get becomes more, at least
Yeah, okokuqala mntakababa, just ngingithi ukuqala before ngize ku-point yemali ngithi mhlawumbe ukuphikisana kancane nobhuti ulungisani laphayana phezulu. The thing ukuthi mntakababa, we are not wrong if we have to aim higher. That's general issue. That's general for point of view. Human beings are like that. Human beings are different species. We always like to see yourself better. That's why there's classification of the countries. Whether you see a country, say first world country, second world country, and third world country, then there's different expectation in terms of how do you things and what resources do you have that will propel you to a space whereby you'll think you are the best. Surely, from our side, as the point as I've said, since with the introduction of a grant, PSL Econ, money we know as South African money economy wise, it's better than Swaziland or Lesotho or other some of the countries that are on the southern regions. Surely we have if we say we cannot compete Nabo Swaziland, then we have to look at those higher clubs of like from the Arab nations or even Europe. We are allowed to do it because we are saying that based on what we see and then on what we have and on what we believe. I cannot, personally, I cannot be proud to say I'm better than Swaziland. Swaziland, they are too far below than our standards. It's like a child going to a private school or will tell you, I on that other school. That's how it is. PSL has got resources. PSL has got funds. The country in itself, they've got resources. They look at the stadium, the infrastructure, everything. Surely, if there are certain things that we have to criticize, we are going to criticize them based on what we have and then on what we expect from the resources that we have, the capacity that we have, and also the leadership that we have. So, no, but we have to be better than them. They are not at our level. We have to go higher sometimes. Issue imali, imali baqinisile bathi impande yesono ngesizulu because yes, it allows, because you look at if unayo imali, it allows you to be able to compete in the market in terms of buying quality players.
Mm, mm,
Once you can be able to buy quality players, not a player they also develop, we're going to give them how many 2 or 3 years in order to be in that level. But at the same time, come that players must have low level leyo. Totally the team that has got the imali now, but they be able to snatch that player because now he's got ambition, he's got dreams also to earn more big check and also now akupre njengomuntu. But that's what we live for. So imali, it will always play a big role because look for a PSL team, how many players do they have? 30, maybe maximum 30 players. And if in Tatama calculation as abafowethu they've articulated their Google comments, a club maybe in average a player can earn 30,000 rand. With a 2 million grant, we're to go PSL without any sponsor. Sure, on players only, it's not a technical team. And the other additional team like your doctors, your physios, everything, and my hotel staff, the accommodation, transportation, all the expenses that comes along of running a PSL team. On players only, if you're gonna use the average of 30,000 per player, let's say 30,000, we are looking at a bill of about 900,000. So already $1 million is gone on those players. So do you see, Guti, you don't have a room there to move, and also must beg and Guti. Tina in the PSL club it's a business. It's a business. You've registered, and the aim of any businessman or business person is to make profit. Unless if you are like Umutsibevele with football, you are not there to make money. But the other, I can say 70% of the owners of PSL they're here to make money. That's their business. If in your team is figures my chips is like my chips mazimba chips or color club and it's part of the business now. It's all. So we cannot say no. If you're in a business, if they can say take other teams to pay a financial statement and see the expenses and see the money comes in. That's why you'll see Amachima Jengabo TX Galaxy Arrows, I think, even nice Stellenbosch. Their business model is different from any other teams Mountain-Bag. ETS Galaxy, for example, now, ETS Galaxy, the way they're behaving, you think number one.
number 4, 5.
You think, but the reality number one.
I think it's 12. I think it's 12 or something like that.
They are there because what they will do, they will make sure Gucci comes on this. Black label. That's their surviving mode because they know once they get that 6 million, what's the prize money? 6 million paycheck for the club. It's also contribute to the funding year club. That's why you see some of the clubs they don't pay bonuses. They don't play. I'm a play money. Okay, they give them half, or we get bonuses as maybe for a club all winning like the money player. So different models of running a club they differ. But if you do have money, and not only rely on football to make money, surely you'll be at an advantage in terms of getting quality players, doing things perfect, being able to hire professional coach, professional physio, professional backroom staff. Sundowns can manage to have 20 people who are technical team. 20. Imagine the team has got 16 to 20 people. What technical team? We're not talking Askakulu on the field of play, but those. I can tell those 18 technical team members abanye ibhili yabo ye-club yonke amanye ifika ngama-team esingabizwa ngamagama la ku-PSL wakuphi. That's their monthly bill. Those guys bangangena on the field of play. So yes, we can say yes, soccer is also about development and also planning and focusing, but at the same time money plays a big role.
But then why aren't they fighting for more money? Now committees, I'm seeing in the comments, somebody says, committees said each PSL team should be getting 30 to 40 million rand a year. We've heard Abu Bakr saying money. We've heard Abu Kevin Hunt saying money. Why then do these owners, why doesn't it look like they care about trying to somehow bavali gap, man, whether financial fair play by Zami, financial fair play, or something, just to see why don't they care about that stuff and say throughout Africa that it's pretty much the same way, and even in the world actually.
No. It's the Rabbi committees and others. Because they are lazy. So some of them, they are lazy. They don't want to do work, and all in terms for a club, they only focus on PSL. Let's do the maths. 2 million, 2 million a month for 12 months. How much do they get? 24.
24.
It's 24 million. Ne? You've got 24 million, which is guaranteed. Leo is guaranteed to you. ukuthi uzobunayo. Now, who said teams must not invest in marketing and recruiting supporters for their home game matches? Who said they mustn't do that? Because now they've become lazy because they've got this grant Yagu League every month, which is guaranteed. The same thing that we're discussing on the other day of the broadcasting right. Do you know Wuti, if Abokoza and Kaiser Mutawang, they made a huge sacrifice by getting that deal, and the way it has been structured. Yama Broadcasting, Yoguti, we are going to sell ama rights as a package EPSL with all the team. They could have been greedy and said, okay, no, let each and every team go and market their product on any broadcasting television to see Guti teams will be able to even get that slot of playing to be televised on TV. 80% of them, they wouldn't even get done that. Imagine now if they say they bring this thing of pay-per-view in South Africa, Guti, how other teams are going to suffer. How some supporters even like, because it's all kinds of South Africa is supported mostly by poor black people. Some of them many are in the rural areas. Most of them, they won't even have access to watch Chiefs or Pirates on TV. I can even tell you by now. But those guys, they've sacrificed, including their product, to sell it to a DSTV and create a concrete package, including the 16 teams. So that's why they had to, in order to sacrifice to goodbye keep our trauma team and make it 16. But they thought, okay, it was good at that point of time, but Manje, I'm not in favor of it. I still believe we can still showcase more talent in South Africa and also more talent in terms of administration. Siyambona like uZungu ngale kumaZulu, since I feel that he's pumping in money. Usadidisa but I guess him blame because even Nomtsipo waqala kanje naye. Even Petri started like this. He will find his fate. I know he's got a good heart. His heart is at the right place. Yamazulu, even though before bekafuna ukuthenga iPirate, but it's inyenye indaba leyo. But he's got a good heart. His heart is at the right place. He will find it. Soccer bosses, they must make sure they stop being lazy. Hire a marketing team that, do you know, in a stadium of 30,000 capacity, sold out at 50 rand. You make sure your four home games in a month, they are sold out. That's a more revenue that's coming in on your side rather than the one that you expect for just sitting there, which is guaranteed from PSL.
Okay. I want to jump in there before going to Lungisani. And I think my issue, my only issue, and maybe I looked at it from a PSL perspective, but also throughout the world. Guys, if you really want to stop the money team and all of you are together, there's boards, there's executives, all these people sit on the executive members of things, the leagues. They could make rules if they really wanted to. But I think it boils down to what Uvelile is speaking about. It's hard, very hard to fill a stadium. You have to do a lot of work to do those things. It's very hard to win the league. It's very hard to play in CAF. You hear all of them complain, CAF, it's expensive. It's very hard, right? It's easier to sit back and accept the grant. It's easier to sit back and go, you know what? Sundowns in Mali, every year they're going to come knocking on my door and want my best player. And that's a good 20, 25 million or however much they pay now into my pocket, right? I think it's come down to ease. And that is the problem with our leagues, you know. Abu Al Ali winner every year. But it took Pyramids to be bought by an ex-Al Ali board member, right? For them to then pump money into Pyramids and build it to a point where they can come second versus Al Ali and play in the Champions League. If we had more owners that were like that, you know, maybe you'd see something different. But for now, money is going to be an issue. Let me go to Ulungisani. Lungisani, money. The thing that everybody speaks about. Now, my team,
Yeah,
they're fine. They're happy. They're fine with everything that's happening.
Martin makes the world go round. uh, yeah, no, true. Ake ngiye lapha nje kuvelile. No, he's got some valuable points. But I think he misunderstood me, man, comparisha Oswald no Lesotho, in terms of dominance. Yes, it's what dominated the southern countries. Because we nathi sibona si right. Kodwa mawubukisisa kahle, aswa dominate when it comes to COSAF. Ahlale shy skip in terms of when it's time to play football. So with South Africa versus Swaziland, South Africa versus Lesotho, COSAF I shy skip. You know, but so at the end of the day, then singcono ngani. UCOSAF fana ngabe Farmers League yethu njenge South Africa. Fana ngabe league esiyibina year in year out. Because I'll make a typical example. Look at one person who took SAFA seriously. Ukuthi team yakhe kuphi Banyana. Desiree took COSAFA 2018 seriously. Brought in those players who COSAFA 2018. Was it? Yeah, it was 2018, 2019. PE 2019. Yes, it was 2018. She took COSAFA serious with this. And look at where the team is now. She didn't have to compete with the northern countries a lot. She didn't have to compete with Nigeria a lot. What they would do was maybe invite Nigeria once in a while, or invite one of the northern teams because of Izodala. It dominated. But when they took COSAFA serious and started properly beating the southern countries, we competed as a nation in Mantobazan. And we competed very well with World Cup as well. Right? So in terms of Sitbalo, but in terms of playing football, they play like in Nigaba. Go round. But anyway, single issue man. Ngiyayithanda lento show vele. Ubhuti uvelile lapha. Ama teams are lazy. They are lazy. Yazi ukuthi filling up a stadium, you might think it's too difficult. Nomhlawumbe mina or ocabanga ukuthi kulula ngoba ngaze ngikwenza. Uyazi mfethu, there are TVETs, there are universities. Do you approach those kids, those SLC kids with 50 t-shirts and if you're a student, you're taking a ticket, it's half a price. And most of these universities, anamapasawo, khuluma nabo ukuthi ngama-Saturdays, lethani ingane compete. At the end of the season, wherever you are, I'm in Durban, for example, let's take DUT, let's take UKZN, and let's take MUT. If those three universities work, we need cheerleaders, we need supporters. At the end of the year, this is what I'll do for the school. Because we already, once the ngane zaqala zafika stadium, but nabantu bazofuna ukufika estadium. Ngiyangithola. Even njengathiwa kwenzakalani, once abantu baqala babona enye into engeke ngayinothisa, which was happening ebenziwa amazulu ebengiyithanda a couple of weeks back. Ubona omama behamba ney'ngane zabo ey'ncane. Umama ebusuku uyobuka i-night match nengane yakhe encane. It forces ubaba wasekhaya ukuthi aphume ahambe nabo. So it's like it was like a family thing. Angazi ukuthi idroshwe yini these days. But you started seeing ukuthi hayibo emaphitha sekunomama abahamba ney'ngane nobaba. So sekuyifamily ntontoni. These lamathema ayavela apha just to think outside the box. Okay, times are changing. Yini engaletha abantu egroundini. Mafethu, egroundini le-rugby kuyagcwala. Egroundini le-cricket kuyagcwala. Ema-ground angagcwala awe-football. And ama-ticket are cheap. Limali in-ticket le-cricket? 220.
Yeah.
250. Limali in-cricket le-rugby? It's 150, somewhere there. But ele-ball, 60 rand. Kodwa kugcwala.
That's why bengithi Lukisani, the other thing, besides Leama duty and all of that stuff, just think about this, and we've spoken about this before. Yoguti, which team has a town? Eyabo. Yes, the Blue Bulls, I know the exact area where Blue Bulls is strong. They're close to the companies there. They're close to abantu bakhona lapha. They do all of those things so that they know ukuthi ibase yami nayi. How many teams in the PSL have a base where I wanna mangena la checkers, the Cape Town City? You know, when I go cut my hair, Ubelile cuts hair, mangena la pe barber shop yakhe. Amazulu has reached out to him. Amazulu, yazi, just to make sure that, one of the way Bloemfontein Celtic base sevens are connect Bloemfontein. How many teams have that base? You know? Hey, Lugisana, still with me? Let's see. Network. I'm gonna come back, Luis. I'm gonna come back. Jero, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
I'm okay, boss. How are you?
I'm good, my brother. I'm good. So, you know, today we were just speaking about, are we a bit too harsh on the PSL? Because when you look at the other leagues, they look very similar. You know, same makeup. There's the top team. The top team usually has money. They are 10 points, 15 points, in some cases 20 points away from number 2, you know, but in our minds, we put the PSL so low. So I'm going to ask firstly for your general thoughts about that subject, that part of the subject. Then I'm going to ask you money. Why does money play such a big role, and why are teams not doing anything about it?
Yeah, let me answer your first question. Yeah, we are being harsh, Tina, on we are being harsh on EPSL, our PSL teams. For me now personally, the way I see a league here too is, I've said this before, which we are not a professional league per se. I think we are still semi-professional. We are still finding our feet in a lot of things, even good government here too. We are still young as a country. I think we are 31 years old or 32 years old. So we are still learning a lot. I think what happened in 96 and qualifying for World Cups and hosting, we overachieved. So now our expectations are high. You understand? Because we've achieved in a very short time as see parts of the international field or part of international games as Bafana, we've achieved a lot, to be fair, compared to other countries. We know, for example, Ethiopia or Scotland. These teams have been there for a long time, but they've never achieved anything we can think of. So, Tina, we're still finding our feet. If you look at teams, the way they are run, some team owners are not even soccer people. People like Abochi Pampengesi, they are not soccer people. So, yeah, we are being unfair. So that's my answer. Maybe in 10 years' time, 15 years' time, once we get the right people, once our teams are run professionally, once we have enough sponsors, then we can start being, harsh. But right now, because it's the Alta and the Paula, and we want to see our teams doing well, at least for me, we need at least in the PSL, I'm about 4 or 5. Do what Matsepe is doing for us to start to go to say, no, you guys are not doing enough. But at the moment, sometimes it's going to dominate for a long time.
Yeah. But are we that far? Are we that far? Because what I'm trying to say with this thing is Egypt has Al Ali. Al Ali has dominated forever. Are we then automatically saying the Egyptian league is good just because of the Al Ali? You know what I mean? But when you look at the actual league, Al Ali is finishing 10 points in front of people. They finished 23 points in front of Zamalek, for example. You go into the other countries. King, I had the examples here. In the Zambian league, one team is 15 points ahead of the other ones. It's the same dynamic as the PSL. Is the PSL that far away? Because even when we go into continental competition, Chiefs got to a final. in a transfer ban year when we're doing badly. Pirates played in a Confed final and a Champions League final. Sundowns does what Sundowns does. Marumo Gallants got to the semi-finals. When you look at it, man, and you tally these leagues, we're not far off from those leagues, and maybe we're better. Maybe we're saying that Mohamed Salah plays for the Egyptian national team, therefore Egyptian football should be better. I'm just making an example that maybe that's how we view it. I am now starting to think that we're not that far away.
We are not that far away, but I would say we are far, but not that far away. I don't know how to put it. We are far away because now, if you're looking at it, Galeo angle yako, you will think we are similar. But if you dive deep and scrutinize, you will find out no, we are actually far because at the end of the day, our leagues, they are a feeder to a national team. So now, if you look at the Egyptian national team and the history, that will tell you something. Which, technically, the players they have, they are good. They can compete nationally. Whereas our national team now, when you have to get 22 players of these 16 teams, you struggle. You understand? If you go to the Spanish league, Madrid is on its own, and Barcelona sometimes. But now, when it comes to our national teams, they get 2 players from Sevilla, 3 players from Atletico Bilbao. But when they play for their national team, you can't tell who is who because their standard sabo is very close or similar. But when it comes to us, you take 8 players from Sundowns. The minute you take 1 player from Amazulu, you can tell the difference. You take 2 players from Marumo Gallants, you can tell the difference. So if you're looking at it that way, then you can say, yeah, maybe we are similar, but we are not similar. I'm saying we are far. You understand?
Okay. I still feel like it's a bit unfair because even those countries, when we speak about the national teams, a lot of those players don't play in their leagues. So
no, but let me disturb you there. You remember during the early 2000s, mid 2000s, when Egypt was dominating in Africa as a country, they were winning a lot of AFCONs. 90% of their players were playing in their league, with the Al Ahly dominating. So, which means their league was tough, even though Al Ahly was on top by 10 points, but they were managing to win the AFCON with these players. Abadala, we league, yeah. Whereas Senegal will have 10 players playing abroad. You have Nigeria, they have 11 players playing abroad. But these players, when they come against these Egyptian teams, they couldn't manage against them. You understand? That's where I'm trying to emphasize the point of a league. That's where, for me, now you see how strong the league is.
But isn't Al Ahly strong in the league?
Al Ahly is strong, but the other teams behind them, technically, they are closer. They are very closer to Al Ahly. It's just that Al Ahly can go and buy a Pesitao from Brighton. But the Pyramid, they come and buy Lake from Cape Town. But technically, and the knowledge of the game is close. It's similar.
Okay. No, I hear you. Let me just go to Ulungisani. Lungisani, we were still finishing off there. The point about teams not working hard to get that base.
Yeah, man. My apologies there. So
No
you are
problem.
getting Ramaphosa about load shedding. So
No problem.
somehow izinto ziyaphazamiseka mangena. Yeah, maybe it's because akekho umuntu esingamthola la kwipanel oke wasebenza as i-PRO or oke wasebenza kwi-marketing yalama team to maybe give us the nitty-gritty of what is happening, because you will hear some saying, "Buti, we can't get fans because of the budget we have." But at the end of the day, like I said to you, times are changing. Sometimes udinga uthatha iveni uhambe umemeza estradini, uzangicela uzobuka ibhola, uzangizobuka ibhola dlala nani, because most of the time abantu abamnyama, they are busy working. Some even forget about ukuthi dlala in today. Umuntu afike kwi-catch yakhe ngo-5 athi hawu, hey, iyadlala ukuthi today athathe i-remote avule i-TV yathi ngizoyibuka khona. Sometimes udinga ukuthi uthathe iveni uphume uthathe i-halo umemeze week in week out, ufike ku-spa wenza ama-activation, ufike ey'koleni wenza ama-activation. Bengibeka lezi ikole as just ilokhuzana i-example. Ungafika ngisho e-primary mfethu unikeze ingane yase-primary ithikithi eliyi-1. You know how excited ingane ingaba excited kanjani uthola ithikithi eliyi-1. So usuforce ukuthi njengoba le ngane iphethe leli thikithi, mayifika ekhaya naleli thikithi ijabulile, usuforce umzali ukuthi asukume aye pro ticket awuthenga ithikithi ahambise ingane egroundini. Ngiyathola. So ezinye zezinto lezi, it's just that maybe asinalo ulwazi lokuthi why are these things not done kuma teams. Ngiyathola. And njengoba dusho nawe ukuthi i-Celtics was good, uBloemfontein you knew, mawuya laphana uyalahlela khona ama-Celtic fans, fanatic, not even fanatic fans. Ngiyathola. Fanatic fans abazo, once you speak badly about i-Celtics angibonjwa uphuma ungawuthintanga umhlabathi, yabona, angibonjwa uphuma ungawuthintanga umhlabathi. So we kind of missed that because of ama-PROs ama-team. They tend to go, there's nothing wrong with social media, but face-to-face is very important. You remember Padco, they will come into the stadiums. Njengamanje, people who are entertaining us ema-groundini, ama-locals, ama-announcer. The announcers there to say, ubani uphuma bangenayo. Where are the PROs who must entertain us on Monday when the game is on Wednesday? To speak to that PRO, kube ngathi ebesenda i-VN ngephutha yokuthi hey thina sokubhaxa mkhulu eyaminyanga ikanje kanje eyakinyanga, uyangithola. Create that thing. Iyayicreate kudala ukuthi you go there ufuna ukuyobona ngempela ukuthi kuzokwenzakalani, yabona. Sesikhandiwe istory. Phakathi komfethu, they were writing a story before the match. They will write a story like ngathi ulalela istory saku-radio sangu-3. Come Saturday, now you are hyped up, you are there. At the end of the game, should was better. Try next time. We tend to miss that. We tend to the PROs most team went for angifuna ukuthini, there's nothing wrong about education, but they tend to use the social platform a lot, which is it's not for everyone.
It's no longer my PRO. Sebabizwa ama-communication manager.
Yeah, it's a communications manager, liaising officer. That's all. So izohlupha uma ihamba ngo-liaising officer ngoba mfethu bekuyini uthatha imoto yakho uyifake istikha se-team oyisebenzelayo uhamba umemeza etradini. Siyadlala ngosuku lokuthi uhambe eradioni ucela islot, ngicela ukusho ukuthi siyadlala ngosuku lokuthi.
I was about to say, good radio. Padco was on the radio every day. He said
every day.
Every single call the radio 2000. Hey, goes on high.
Padco would make you uyi-PRO yale team ezodlala ne Chiefs. Ufuna ukuresponda same time. Mayikhuluma. Uthatha ifoni ufone. Nigcine nikhuluma ngathi nexabana lothu. It's not asikuxabana. You create a story. Yabona, thina sabantu abanye mase inganekwane sayithanda. Yabona. So I think those one of the elements that are missing. Like I said, it's unfortunate ukuthi we don't have anyone who wasebenza emathimini kwi-marketing or as a laying officer, maybe to say the challenges they are facing. Khona sizobona ukuthi this is why. Why. Now we understand. That thing just vanished without us understanding why. Yabona. But I would like to say before ngithi amaZulu ayadlala kusasa. Ngeke sifike sonke egroundini. Kodwa ke onawo SuperSport nonayo internet alibuko sothola amabhesha khona. Bese ngicongratulate ama-Proteas aqeda kuwina kadlala ne-India i-T20. Siyabonga noma besiphoxile nje. Kuyafana le nto la South Africa. Kuyasiphoxa.
No, Mara, no, thank you so much, Luis. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me see. Laila Nini, I see Kumo put away the burner. Oscar record tsa Chiefs o support Sundowns ra go tseba re tla o timela tsona. Tell me, money, the elephant in the room, money. You know, the top teams in Africa all have money. Even the ones that are chasing them have money. And then the rest of the teams, it looks like the gulf between them and the top team is so big, right? Why does money matter so much? One, to all of this, and then two, why are these teams not doing enough to maybe try catch up or do something as a league?
Wow.
As a league.
You aren't gonna welcome me to the show. Okay, fine.
Okay, Brian, welcome to the show.
Okay, thank you. It's nice to be here. Sorry I'm late, guys. Money. You know what, ne? Money plays a huge part. I mean, like, a lot of people, you know, when they see Sundowns succeed, they think it's money, which is partially true, because without money, you can't go and get the best football directors, you can't get the best football scouts, you can't get the best facilities, because all those things are money. I mean, like, there's a rumor around going around saying that Mamkis is going to sell Royal AM. I mean, like, it doesn't make financial sense for someone to actually own a PSL team unless you are a team that sells its players, like a SuperSport or a Cape Town City. Even Jomo was the first guy to actually do with that model. So with money, you have access to the best talents globally, man. So money gives you access to everything, and with money, there's nothing you can do. Literally, the world is your oyster. That's the first question. Ne? What was the other teams? Like, what's your second question?
Why aren't they doing enough? Because it feels as though they are comfortable as it is. They know and Tatem Tsipe's team is going to come knocking at the end of the season. We're going to pocket a young 40 million in our pockets for those two players that are leaving. You know, there's a PSL grant, 2 million a month that comes in. We're going to use that money to take care of our expenses, or a lot of our expenses. They seem comfortable. Why don't they want to do more, or at least create rules and things that might lessen that space between Sundowns and everyone, Al Ahly and everyone, Man City and everyone?
Some are doing their best, but at the end of the day, you're doing the best with what you have, you know?
But the owners keep telling us, but when they sit in the board meetings, the lots of things, they don't do anything.
Remember, we are lucky enough to have a billionaire, right? So does Stellenbosch as a billionaire owner. But Motsebe, he actually loves the football as a whole. So, and he's very generous with his money. So that is why he doesn't care about Sundowns turning a profit. And whatever profit that Sundowns makes, he reinvests it. Whereby you get a SuperSport, which is owned by DSTV. But the thing with SuperSport, and DSTV MultiChoice, it has shareholders, investors to answer to, and a board to answer to. So one can't just say, I'm going to spend so much amount of money. Then his colleagues are going to ask, why are you spending so much money? Because it's not going to meet.
Oh, Nazo.
So it doesn't make sense to invest in the money pit. That is the difference between the owners. And also Stellenbosch is owned by a billionaire who doesn't really care about football. Like if this was or maybe I get he's friends with Motsepe. They also have a percentage at Blue Bulls. Maybe he's just investing in football. Yeah, as in good faith. You don't know what it, or he just likes to buy things, ne? But at the end of the day, he's a major capitalist because we've seen his portfolio of the things that he owns. So again, football doesn't make fun.
There we go again. Yeah, network. I'm gonna come back. Kuma Theo, welcome to the show. How are you doing? Hey, Theo. Shower my network kuphela la. Yeah, guys, I just want to jump in then. I'll jump in. You know, for me, ne.
Mina ngikhona ngisebenzisa amahhala network.
Hayi, it's right, Tina.
Yabo lokujana yabo khuma ukubaqala bazenza bomzekezeke kuqala ebasebenzini.
No, mara kuyeza velile ngoba thina sikhona. Do you know the thing is that now when I look at this thing, I always think to myself, if 15 of us are crying, okay, 14, 13 of us in the league are crying. Hi, Sundowns and so much money. Sundowns buys our players. Sundowns does this. We don't have enough money in our bank accounts. We can't run our teams. Running a team is too expensive. Like you hear all of the complaints from everybody. My question then becomes, at what point do you step inside your board meeting? I they have these governors meetings and all of that stuff, executive member meetings. And you say, guys, us as the 13 are tabling this motion and we're all voting for rule X, Y, and Z that will help that will help slow down Leo team or help us get more money, right? So for me, they complain, but they're not doing much about it. You know, and there's so many teams that are living hand to mouth, essentially, with all of these leagues, right? So you ask the question, good to know, Ganti, guys, if it's that much of an issue to you guys that you're complaining out loud to us, why aren't you doing something about it? You know, and money is going to carry on being the thing that runs the league, because at the end of the day, Al Ahly has the best facilities. They've got 113 years of experience, money, all of that stuff. You know, how do you fight that? How do you fight a billionaire? Pyramids is actually bankrolled by very rich people. That's why they are trying to fight Al Ahly. But if you ask for that from a normal team, that's not going to happen. But it doesn't seem like they care about these things, especially in the PSL. They go out and they spend recklessly. But you know what, Velile, I'm going to ask you a very tough question, an open question. Silungisa njani le ndaba yama gap, man. Hey, le gap from number 1 to number 2. Ngathi ipola lethu everywhere you go. Mzansi, Egypt, everywhere you go. Ileyo gap silungisa njani?
Okay, ngiqale before ngizoza kule ndawo yegap. You pose the question earlier on yokuthi iyiphi team ene-base.
Iyiphi team enga?
Ene-base in terms of like support.
Oh, yes.
Like PSL, I think the team actually the best deal when it comes to base and anchor tenants in terms of the stadium, the Pirates. It doesn't get any better than that. You get a deal like that whereby you even are able to brand the stadium with all your colors, whether inside or outside. You are given that opportunity to brand. That's a municipal, that's a government stadium. That's a municipal part. You've got an opportunity to brand the way Orlando Stadium is branding a corner. That's why with Pirates, it's a team even inclined to get a deal like that. You can say so about Stellenbosch in terms of it, Danny Craven, yeah, now, but I think the best deal in terms commercially, the Pirates has got the best deal,
and even placement. Orlando Pirates in Orlando.
So it doesn't get any better than that. That's why it will be there in marketing and Babosistandi. Yes, they're doing their work, but I think a lot still need to be done there in that department of making sure that it's good. It's Menzela. On the home games, at least you get 30. That's a slash of 45. At least 30. Lower level, it should be filled. But we understand if they even open at the upper level, but the lower level should always be filled when the parents. And they also with this thing of in marketing, angazi mhlawumbe singabantu abamnyama siyasaba yini ukuya eyikoleni indaba zesikolo okwezinto ezinye zezinto. And like for example, Sundowns in Pretoria, how many universities and do you have there?
All of them. Oh, they go to all of. It's not towns. They go to all of them.
So are you saying you cannot get quality marketing student who are not in last year or third year to market your game? Marketing student, give them job. You will give them a stipend. You won't pay them a wholesale, but give them a job just to do marketing for you. You get a marketing to those universities. If no Maxiteguin, Makon, DUT, Mambo Sutu, KZN, Makon. Just to try different things and see good one how maybe they might come up with different ideas of but
Oh, basibhadale nathi sikhona.
yeah, now ukhona ngiyazama ihloko lakho ngapha uyabona mntaka baba athi ngiyafuna yabo. But in terms of to your question again indaba ye-gap indaba ukuthi the approach esisebenzisayo manje uRhulani ne-Sundowns when it comes to, I don't know where they've worked out this thing of making sure in the first round of their legs, like the first 5 or the first 6 or 7 games, they win them. That's where that's what creates a gap play. Because come second round is not easy. They will be fighting for their lives. Konje iPirates kuphela kulo nyanga first round ishawa yiteam akazidliwe isikhulumisa kabi yasikhulumisa ngabantu. But second round is difficult as compared to first round. Do you see whereby lapho basazifuna ama-team amaningi, and then when you tell this part, like now they've won 10 games already, igap leyo ngokwayo. Sasifuna trying to find our own feet, and usadwana nabo nge-Richards Bay, udwana nabo Polokwane Seed, and if you're inconsistent. Because another thing that's a challenge on our soccer. It's rare to find a team who can play 5 games performing at a higher level consistently. It's, even Naku Pirates, like you cannot name me one player who has performed 5 straight at the upper level, like consistently, without even getting injured or none. Because sometimes, remember, there's technology now in football, of which also fitness and also ukulimala kwabadlali physique yabo to avoid injuries. You don't have those specialists in that department, you're also going to suffer. But I think iyakhona iSundowns ukwenza lokho because it has covered most of the things on every department is covered in terms of doing that. Conditioning, strengthening of the players, because you cannot have players travel but they come and perform consistently.
Yeah.
100%. Who are all like traveling? Yeah, but only Sanda, but naye singazisho zakhe, it's fine. But I was just saying akashayi kude vele kugcono ngimlande ekhaya, you know.
Yeah, ukubambile ukhuluma la hey nakunda.
Wavela kugcono ngimlande eduze engayibhiki. Yeah, but I was just saying, if you have covered in all those departments, including like strength and conditioning Yama players, because remember, sometimes the way you train Yama players and conditioning them, it also helps Amanye to avoid unnecessary injuries. So as Yama player limele what I was Yama player limele, but which means their conditioning is not okay. But is that technique you win at the first 10 games, which is it puts you at an advantage area as compared to Zobuya second round. If you can try and close that gap, I think it is of value.
But why bangavim? Because most of the Manenga team that have coaches that have been there for years, owners that have been there for years, Mara.
I think in Giti, Kawadora Kulu Amas Cup games, Mastersu. Because you look at first game away to MTN 8. And then there are teams that are told as a Capini, like I would take Scalas or Amanya, who they will focus on cup matches, because that's their business model at the earliest. Because now you see, it was MTN 8
and now it's calling Black Label. So if they use that business model of focusing on those cup, because they know, if I win MTN 8, I play 3 games, I get 8 million. I play 4 games, calling Black Label Cup, I get 6 million already. I'm 14 million richer. So surely angeke siqinise kakhulu ku-league. That's why you find that teams that are playing on a cup game weekend, when they play during the week in like midweek games, amanye they tend not to bring the standard tend to be higher, because their mind already good cup game that is going to play on a weekend. That's how our season is structured. Siqala ngama-cup before even ufika ku-10 games year league. So already you are distracted there. And another issue, secondly, esibuye singayibheki futhi, which tend to put teams also that are on a cup games at the disadvantages, is the issue yama-yellow card. If i-Pirates izodlala 3 games ku-MTN 8, idlale 4 games ku-Carling Black Label Cup. So if you were playing 3 games ku-MTN 8, you've played 3 games ku-MTN 8, but you've got 3 games in between when league. If you've got a player that's sitting on the second yellow card when you dlala cup-in, but the team odlala nayo ku-league iphumile cup-in, 2 or 3 players, if they're on 3 yellow cards, they will get affected by the next game, because you never use those players. We put you at a disadvantage. So which means the more you are successful in terms of domestic cup competition, it puts you at a disadvantage is good league in terms of players. That's why you see a player come game like when Sundowns mastered that uthola bafuna ukuzitholisa ama-yellow card alandelana kanje, just to make sure these players are not available. Badlala less ithatha kancane, won't play them. But we need also to look at the issue yama-yellow card, especially on the teams that participate kuma competition or have a longer period of sustainability go cup competition. It tends to be affected. This card must be seen.
Okay, no, I hear you. I mean, I just feel like now, honestly speaking, I don't know how you'd enforce this, but the teams need to start making better decisions. For me, the teams need to start making better decisions. We are the 2 million a month, it's too little. 2 million a month, you can't do anything, you can't run the team. Then at the same time, you take that 2 million a month and you waste it. You know? Think of how many coaches who Chipa Mpengesi has had to pay off breaking a contract wabo, when they could have just done the work to find the right coach. You know, to find the right. Most of what Sundowns does very well right now is that those building blocks that they found were the right ones. Yes, they had to go a while trying to find it, but there was the right ones, and then they built upon those things. Today, I want a 2-room. Tomorrow, I want a mansion. The next day, I want to go back to a townhouse. It's too much flux with small resources. And I always say this, that, you know, if you've never been broke before, when you're broke, yes, you look at that budget and you go, I can't buy a pizza. I can't buy sushi. And get through this month. But our teams, on the one hand, they complain about the money, but then on the other hand, they're spending money recklessly on players, coaches, personnel, staff, all of those things. And you sit back and you go, Marakai, you don't have money. Because truth be told, you don't play Sundowns every single game. There's other games you play. So we should be looking at people like our Chiefs, people like our Pirates, people like SuperSport to a degree because of the experience of Gavin Hunt. We should be looking at those guys and saying, Mara, you guys need to be more consistent. But there needs to be at least a top 4, top 6 that looks like a top 4, top 6, you know? And I feel like it's that and it's complacency in selling. If you really, really, really want to fight Sundowns to your core, you'd sit down and you'd go, Sundowns, I'm not going to sell you these players. Player, we star. How about I bump up your salary? And then for the next 4 years, we're going to build around you. I'm going to get a coach in that does well. I'm going to get in other players that can play with you, right? And then see where we go from there. But again, the truth of the matter is that it goes back down to what Uvelile highlighted just a little bit earlier when he said that these teams are lazy. These teams are lazy. These teams are, guys, it's hard to convince a star to stay. It's hard for you to build a team around the player. It's hard for you to find the right coach. Those things are hard, but they are worth it because you're super sport, and just having Kevin Hunt in your team means that you're going to finish third, means that you're going to turn over a certain amount selling players, even though that's not the point I'm making, right? You making those right decisions. But our PSL teams, and clearly teams from around the country, around the world, don't want to make a decision. All right, I don't need you to be a Sundowns, but I need you to be the best Pirates that you can be, the best Chiefs that you can be, the best Super Sport that you can be, so that you can challenge these guys. Ubab Kaiser in his interview said that no, this is the way of the world. There's always a team that's going to be number one. But about number two, he was like, Liverpool took 30 years to win the league. But Liverpool went out and won some Champions Leagues. You know, Liverpool consistently perform in the Champions League. Abo Arsenal, Bakona, Abos Banbani, they may not be Man City, but they make it shake when they go all over the place. Now we're sitting with the Sundowns that's representing us in Africa. Pirates couldn't make it to Africa. Supersport is about to be knocked out. Gavin told us a long time ago, he's a league guy, you know. So do you think that those decisions that are being made by those people are going to take those teams forward? I don't think so. So for me, there has to be better decision making that is put into these teams. Whether you're hiring a marketing manager, whether you're hiring a coach, whether you're hiring anybody, you need to try get the best that you can get and will fit your team. Not just this man. Every day, man, anybody can get a job anywhere. You get fired today, tomorrow you've got a job somewhere else. Your style of play doesn't even fit this team, Mara. You are available. It's things like that. Velile, I'm going to let you have a closing statement there.
Yeah, on a lighter note, as you've said, Uchi Pampenge has been hiring and firing about coaches and then angabegezeli. Do you think if bekangakwenzi lokho kubusasekhona ku-PSL? Yeah, cheap.
I was expecting to cheap after 10 years.
Yeah.
They should be number 5 now.
But kodwa yena ubonile ukuthi masakayehla ehlathini uyaqosha. That's why I was asking mazaqala ngithi le team ekhuluma ngathi number 1 ku-league uTX Gallant. Uyibheke league number 1. And badlala ngegoli yibo babhekanga.
Yeah.
It's just good bathole nje vele i-Cape Town Space vele izibozela nje noma
the Richards Bay.
Richards Bay. But bona yibo basibhekanga nje nabo. Ngaye lo Mr. UEFA Pro license whatsoever. Uchipa futhi kube kudala amxoshile.
Ain't cheaper now, but you know, he's not as angry as he was. He was angry back in the day. We had my anger issues. Now he's put that aside.
Hayi bekenziwa amafutha ngiyambona sekanciphile kamnandi kahle.
Ngimbona kuMarawa and I thought this can't be the man that's been firing people left, right and center. Can't be.
Ite idla amaveji amasaladi nagweke hey.
Tata mawok. No, Velile, it's you, Vale.
Okay,
thank you so much for joining me. Very interesting conversation. Yeah, but guys, let's think a bit deeper about these things, man. Let's keep it a bit deeper. Just to close it off, for me, my thing is very simple. I think we've been looking at this from the wrong lens. I think the reasons why we place certain teams on pedestals and certain leagues on pedestals, maybe it's not the truth. You know, I asked the other day when we were having a conversation, Guti, Nangu Pizzo Msimani goes out, he wins, 2 to 3 Champions Leagues, right, in Africa. He's been to Al Ahly, the biggest coach. Surely he can go coach Nantes in France. But then if we think of France from, Messi used to play for PSG. PSG is number 1. And we rate the league based on that instead of saying PSG is up there, But there's teams at the bottom, man, that surely Sundowns could go and give a game. Who beat, actually, let me say that beat. You know, we look at the Egyptian league. Al Ali is number one and has been number one for a while, and they win all of these different trophies, right? But does that necessarily mean that the Egyptian league is stronger than the PSL? You know what I mean? And over the past few weeks, I've seen so many people coming out, former players. John Obi Mikel, I think, said something. JJ Okocha said something where he said the PSL league is actually quite a great quality league. South African players can play in a league where they don't have to leave in order to make ends meet and things like that. You see it with the South African teams who go into the Champions League. A lot of the time they do well. Even the ones that you're not expecting to do very well go out and do something. So then now I ask the question that when we rate them, are we rating these leagues, you know? I used the examples earlier. Zamalek was 23 points behind Al Ali. It finished 23 points behind Al Ali last year. It was number 3. So then you're like, aye, man. Sundowns was 16, number 2. You look at the other leagues, Aboma 10, 15. So then it got me thinking that, guys, maybe we aren't that bad. Maybe we aren't there. Maybe it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. It should be an African problem. But when we rank the leagues, maybe we're not that far away. And Tina, we just think it because we see Al Ali doing well, or we see Wydad doing well, and we don't ask questions about the other ones, right? What is the Richards Bay of the Egyptian Premier League, you know? But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Very interesting conversation. I'm going to soften my stance on the standard of the PSL, that maybe the standard of the PSL is the same as the standard in the world, actually, in terms of the distance between leagues. But I'm not going to soften my stance on the fact that they should be more ambitious. I was so heartbroken listening to that interview. Bob Kaiser. If you want to hear my review, my reaction to that, it is available on Facebook and on YouTube. I was so heartbroken because it feels like they've all given in and they're going to wait for Sundowns to make a mistake or for Sundowns to gradually fall away. And they're not going to do anything to try and actively bring Sundowns closer to them in terms of their own results and in the league, right? It was very sad, man. It was very sad to hear, especially from Bob Kaiser, who was a completely different beast all of those years ago. And I feel like that I can't let any PSL teams go on that. You have to try be the best that you can be and make the best decisions for your team. But when it comes to comparing them, I no longer view those leagues up there, go north, go west, as better leagues than us. I'm starting to think that realistically, I think we're very similar and we all have standouts. Sundowns is the standout, Wydad is the standout, Egypt is the Al Ali is the standout. It's not the league that is like that. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I will see you guys then tomorrow at 8 p.m. Please support me by following on TikTok, following the Facebook page, subscribing to YouTube, and watching the videos. I dropped a short video today, and also on Facebook and YouTube, I dropped a longer video where I'm speaking about what Bob Kaiser said, and we actually play some of the audio. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'll see you guys then tomorrow at 8 p.m. I think I missed a comment here on Facebook. Let me just read this comment here on Facebook from Utebza. Tebza, thank you so much for your support. Insolvency of clubs tells of the troubled PSL. There were teams like Wits, Celtic, Kokwa Stars, Highlands Park. Tells us something that's seriously wrong behind closed doors. The late Trevor Phillips laid a baton, but now our local administrators can't carry it forward. The CAF Champions League is the most coveted football trophy on African soil, yet in the same breath, it is the most elusive to South African teams. Far, far too long, Southern Africa has barely had a say in the competition since Mamelodi Sundowns claimed the silverware back in 2015-16. Only Kaizer Chiefs have come close. Since then, Gavin took the Glamour Boys to 2021, to the final in 2021. Is the CAF Champions League too much to ask of the players, coaches, and teams from Southern Africa? Perhaps the traveling is playing a big role, even the quality of the pitches. One thing we know for sure is that to be the best, you have to beat the best. And given the expectation that this competition expects to go all the way and to win the cup, you need to dig deep, be consistent, and focus on your strengths. Wise words there by Utebza. He also comes back and says, clarity-seeking question. Why South African football has two bodies, SAFA and the PSL, and the people in SAFA with positions are the same in the PSL having positions. They are board of directors, executives, etc. I think it came down to when they split. Essentially, I think they were going to be one thing, but then the NPSL tried to ostracize certain teams in the PSL, and that's when they broke away and formed this one. And ever since then, PSL has essentially gone, we've got our own thing, you've got your own thing, Tina. Sizenzelo wetu, you guys will do what you guys do. And where we find common ground will be good, but nobody's going to tell the other one what to do. And that's how the PSL was formed. I know it's very brief, it's not the whole story, but that's how PSL was formed, and that's why they are separate. Which organization has the longest acting CEO? Only Premier Soccer League. She's not acting anymore, they're just not changing anything, but it also goes to the fact that nobody's going to ask questions, you know? But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 8 p.m.